daughter. I want to say, first of all, happy birthday, Dad. It was his 75th birthday today. It's just like my dad to avoid turning older. So I think he told one of my sisters that he didn't want to be 75. So he was true to his word. My dad was a complicated person. I had times in my life when I would sometimes say, Dad, why can't you be a better father, a better person? But one day I decided to just forget about everything, all the resentments, and decided to just appreciate my dad for who he was. And as soon as I did that, I started to really enjoy his company. He was a lot of fun. He had a very wicked side to him, a very wicked sense of humor, but he also had such a capacity for kindness. I remember one time he came back from the Philippines and he said to me, "Anak, meron akong nakita doon na like a teenager," and he had very, very big feet, and because in the Philippines, I guess, they don't have the sizes for him, the kid was walking around with shoes that were cut in the front so that his toes could poke through. And my dad actually went and took him somewhere and got shoes made for him. And he told me about that. He said, "Naawa daw kasi siya sa bata." So that's typical of my dad to do that. But at the same time, I worked for him as well, and he used to make me laugh and also used to drive me crazy because if the machines didn't work, he would say to me, even if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, he would say, "Ayusin mo yan, hindi ka pwede umuwihan ng maayos mo," right? So he was also a very demanding taskmaster to work for. But as far as being a writer, I have so much respect for him. He really knew his stuff, and he was very passionate about his ideals and his beliefs. And I think that's the one thing that as his family we all have to learn to do is to share him with the public, and to realize that so much of his life was led as a public figure, and that as his family it was something that we needed to accept, that we had to share him with people, and it was what made him what he was. He was larger than life. I think Ed Muyo once said to me after his accident that people really missed him in the community because he was a character. And he really was. He had the biggest laugh. He sang all the time when we were working together. He would always sing Volare. He always had a telephone under his armpit, even on the toilet. And he walked everywhere in his house with that phone. He had a temper, but he also knew how to, as soon as he got it out, he would soften up right away, and then he would cry as much as he could. He could cry as much as he could get angry. And after he got it out of his system, he wanted to forgive him after. And he never hesitated to apologize when he felt that he was in the wrong. He was very soft-hearted that way. He leaves behind, I don't know if you know, he has, losing count, 6 kids. And 6 kids, and 6 kids with Tess's kids as well, who I know he saw his own boys as well. Did you have a dog or no? Okay. I just want to make sure we don't forget that. I also want to say thank you to Tess for looking after him all these years. I think he really made a difference in his life, and I don't think he could have gone on without you, and I know that we couldn't have given him the same quality of care that you provided him. I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm sorry that I haven't prepared anything. I'm hoping that tomorrow to be able to say something that's more coherent. I just literally flew in at 4:30 and I got detained at customs. So I'm sorry that I'm not very coherent today, but hopefully you'll come tomorrow as well. And I'd like to talk to more and more about the work that he did, and I guess his legacy as well. We have a newspaper today that continues going strong, and that again I have to give Tess a lot of credit for that. say for now. Again, thank you for coming. Dad, you were a real character and a real trooper. And you were a friend to me as well, you know. So I will miss you. I think we all will. Thank you.
I haven't prepared because I just came from work. Pero I think sabi ko naman. Ruben, I would like to thank you for tulong sa akin noon. Mahirap magsalita because when I was a new immigrant to Canada, si Ruben, actually, ang tumulong sa akin. And for almost 1 year, wala pa akong hotel noon. I was applying as a political refugee. Ruben was the one who helped me, actually. I was expecting other people na malapit sa kalooban ko as a journalist and activist before. So Ruben was the first one who offered his help. And for 1 year, nahirapan din ako sa Canada because I was new and I was not given a work permit. So, just in a medical and dental privileges. Ruben was the one who helped me.
Ruben's eldest grandchild. For as long as I've known my grandpa, he had his accident, so he's always been in his wheelchair. He hasn't been able to speak, so I never really had any deep or meaningful conversations with him. But he was still my grandpa. I still loved him. I loved riding the elevator in his house when I was little, despite all my aunts and uncles and my mom telling me not to. And every time I would come out, my grandpa would just look at me and we would laugh. And then Lola Tess would just sort of defend me, saying it was okay that I played with it. I loved how every time I saw him, he would be so excited. It looked like he would just jump out of his chair and just fly or something, I don't know. But even though I never talked to him, I knew a lot about him. My mom and my aunts and my uncle were very proud of who he was. And they'd always tell me stories of what he's done. He's someone I look up to. All the stories that my mom told me, he's done so much for the world. Like I feel like he was out there saving the world, and all I've done is get to level 30 on my favorite video game. But I just want to say thank you, Grandpa, for all you've done, and I hope one day I'll be worthy to be your grandson. Thank you.
I'm Edward. I'm actually Tessa's youngest son. Ruben was my stepdad. He's lived with us for the past 20 years. Before he lived with my mom, I didn't really know much about him. From what I do, from learning from my stepsisters and stepbrothers what they were, just stories growing up. From what I do know about him in the past is that during those days when he was in the Philippines, during that whole Marcos dictatorship thing, I mean, that's when Marcos was like running things and basically bullying the streets, and everyone was just so scared to stand up and rebel against the government. And from what I know, Ruben was like, he didn't care. He rose up anyway, and he started rebelling and just starting an uprising against them. And I think, from what I heard, Marcus threw him in jail. And he was in jail for I don't know how long, but then by the time he got out of jail, I think that's when we realized, okay, you know what, I can't start an uprising in the Philippines. And I think that's when he fled to Canada and then started Bolita. And I think that was his way of uprising, saying, I'm in Canada, what are you going to do about it now? That's just from what I know of the past and the stories I was told. I don't know if that's actually true, but from what I do know about him is that when he married my mom, I think I was about 6 years old, and I didn't know like I said, I didn't know him before, but what I do know about him, all I know is this guy just loves to party. Every party he went to, he always had a big smile on his face, and everyone knew him, and he's just always the guy that you always want to be around. He just had a big smile on his face, he had a thumbs up, everyone just loved him. I remember when every morning I used to take the subway with him all the way downtown at Bloor and Spadina, where the Bolita office used to be. He used to take the subway every morning there, and he used to always buy me McDonald's for breakfast. And then I remember he used to wear that Godfather cape thing. It was kind of weird during those days, and everyone just kept, all these Filipinos just knew who he was. And like, oh, Ruben, and then he was just blessing like the Godfather. Oh, bless you, and I'm like, what's he doing? But then I was young, I didn't know all that stuff, man. And so all I know is, and after that, I think I was about 10 years old, and that's when he had his accident, and he was confined to a wheelchair. And from that point on, my mom took over Bolita from that point on, and then she's been running it ever since. And then, but one thing I know about Ruben is he never lost his spirits. He always had a smile on his face every single day. And you just feel the love that my mom had for him, and we were just a family, and he was just there. He was practically like my own dad. He's lived with us for the past 20 years. So he was all I knew, and it's just sad to see him leave. He's gone, and I know we're all going to miss him very much, and he's going to leave behind a very important legacy. I mean, he is the founder of Bolita newspaper, which is like the biggest in Toronto, as far as I know. So I just want to say that I love you, and may you rest in peace. And I just want to thank everyone for coming.